Welcome to BT Podcasts. In this episode, find out how Maybank is looking to the future and helping SMEs thrive. This episode is brought to you by Maybank Singapore.
The establishment of the new Johor-Singapore Special Economic Zone, or JSSEZ, on the 6th of January 2025 creates 20,000 skilled jobs and strengthens cross-border cooperation with the establishment of a one-stop centre to facilitate investments and businesses in the zone. Highlighting its forward-thinking approach, Maybank has long established cross-border digital banking services which are seamless, convenient and secure. And for more insights, we speak to Alvin Lee, Country CEO, Maybank Singapore. This is BT Podcast by the Business Times. Thanks for joining us today, Alvin.
Thank you, Howie. Thanks for having me on.
The pleasure's all ours. So this comes about after a year-long negotiation period. First up, talk to us about the timing of this Johor-Singapore Special Economic Zone being formed. Too early? About time? What are your thoughts?
I think the Special Economic Zone is very timely. This is the year when Malaysia assumes the chairmanship of the ASEAN bloc. And this is also when the two governments have been very proactively engaging each other to foster even closer relationship. And I believe the SEZ will play a big part in allowing them to use this as a mark of their success in collaborating across the border.
Analysts are already saying that the new zone is poised to spark renewed interest in properties in the Malaysian state. Will it also boost, say, global investments in other ways and for both countries as well?
Again, if you look at how each country is going to play the SEZ game, they're very convicted to make sure that there's no overlap. So Singapore will focus on the higher technology sector, the financial services. Malaysia will play the part of providing the hinterland, focusing on the lower margin sectors.
Oh, everyone has a part to play. No overlapping and cannibalizing, so to speak.
So I think the fact that the two countries will complement each other will allow international investors to have access to a more vibrant and a cheaper area to invest in. So I think we do see a lot of interest from not just in ASEAN, but further upfield from China and further away as well.
Yeah, and the segmentation of the SEZ into different zones is smart, considering the large size of the zone. This will help develop synergies between similar industries and companies and hopefully foster the creation of self-sustaining ecosystems. Sounds like a win-win for both countries. And Maybank, what's its role in all of this?
So Maybank being the largest bank in Malaysia as well as a reasonably big one in Singapore, we've always wanted to be the go-to bank for anything to do with Malaysia-Singapore. So the journey to prepare for this SEZ has started many years ago. As we speak, Singapore and Malaysia are each other's biggest trading partners. So no reason why, as a bank with significant presence on both sides of the causeway, we can't do this well. So specifically for SEZ, we have established dedicated teams on both sides to handle queries from customers. We have got not just banking solutions, but beyond banking solutions, we foresee that many corporates would require advice on where to set up shop, what's the best way to go about things. So we do have partners outside of the banking operations to help our customers navigate this journey.
Alvin, how challenging will expanding into the ASEAN region be, though? One block, though it might be, the different territories are developing at, say, different rates, and that could prove difficult, right?
Yeah, so Howie, you hit the nail on the head. Maybank is the only bank with presence in all the 10 ASEAN countries. And I do believe that the ASEAN as an economic bloc is very vibrant, is very promising. And I think as a group, we do operate very well, leveraging on the capabilities across the countries. We are a universal bank. We bank customers from the individual all the way to the multinational corporation level, availing all the services across not just the bank, but insurance, asset management, security services. So with about 350 branches in Malaysia, many of which are equipped with the ability to advise customers on corporate inquiries. In Singapore, we are quite large as well. We've got 27 touch points, 18 branches. We've got experts that are focused on not just Malaysia but across the other ASEAN countries as well.
Still to come, what makes Maybank stand out from other cross-payment platforms, and how is Maybank helping SMEs stay ahead? More with Alvin Lee, Country CEO, Maybank Singapore, in a moment.
And now back to BT Podcasts, brought to you by Maybank Singapore.
We're speaking to Alvin Lee, Country CEO, Maybank Singapore, about the new Singapore-Johor Special Economic Zone and how Maybank has been primed to help businesses with cross-border payments. Alvin, what makes Maybank's offerings different from other cross-payment players?
So as it is, we have got services that help our customers instantaneously remit money across the border both ways at very competitive rates, whether it's FX or processing fees. We are able to open an account for Malaysians who want to have an account in Singapore. If you're a corporate, for example, all you have to do is walk into a Malaysian branch and you say, look, I want to open an account in Singapore, and my teams in Malaysia as well as in Singapore will then take over and ensure that the account opening is a seamless one.
What about SMEs, Alvin, small businesses? They face a lot of challenges. What can they do to stay competitive?
Yeah. So I think if you talk to any SMEs, any corporates, the biggest concerns they have now is cost of doing business. Labor cost has gone up. Raw material cost has gone up. Even if you can afford it in Singapore, for example, you might not be able to access the land you require to open a big factory, or even the workers that you may need for your factories, for example. So I think cost of doing business is the main concern. I think if you look at my Malaysian counterparts, for example, I think access to technology, to digital capability is also something that is top of their minds, right? So I think with the SEZ, flow of ideas, flow of services will be smoother, will be quicker, and that can only augur well for corporates on both sides of the causeway.
Yeah. And does Maybank have solutions, though, to mitigate these challenges for SMEs?
So I think for a new startup, I think the main concern is always ability to access funding, right? So we are very prepared to avail facility to new startups, to establish companies who want to set up base across the border. We have got various schemes. We have got something called the Young Entrepreneur Scheme. We've got something called the SME My Impact.
And what else has Maybank up its sleeves moving forward and in light of this new special economic zone?
As we know, starting this year, the big corporates and the listed companies in Singapore have to report their Scope 1 and Scope 2 emission status. And any SMEs in the supply chain must also be compliant. So our SME My Impact program actually helps SME assess their readiness to be environmentally compliant. And that's where Maybank comes in. When we can, we avail the facilities, we avail the advisors, the advisory, and where the customers require beyond banking solutions is where we pull in our partners, whether they are tax consultants or ESG experts. I think the focus for SEZ, the focus this year, at least for a start, will be on how do we make sure that we have the full suite of services and solutions to support our customers in the SEZ journey.
Sounds like you're well placed. And how do you see 2025 panning out, Alvin?
I think beyond that, we all know that banking is a very competitive landscape. So I'm very focused on making sure that Maybank Singapore is well placed. We've got the right people, the right talent to support and service our customers well. Wealth management, trade finance, sustainable finance are key focus areas for us. But otherwise, we'll continue to focus on our core business like auto finance, mortgage, and making sure that our customers get the right service. I think the market is going to be quite uncertain, possibly quite volatile. We've got the new government in the US. Like it or not, they still dictate many things in global trade. So I do expect some level of uncertainties and volatilities to happen. Otherwise, I think the fact that this is Trump 2.0, I think ASEAN and China are better prepared this time. I do envisage bigger flow amongst the countries in ASEAN or in Asia. I think the Pan-Asia activity will increase. So I think the focus is really on getting our act right to make sure that our customers are well supported.
Sure seems Maybank is ready for anything. Thank you, Alvin, for your insights today.
Thank you, Howie.
That's Alvin Lee, Country CEO, Maybank Singapore. I'm Howie Lim, and this has been BT Podcast from the Business Times.
This episode of BT Podcast was brought to you by Maybank Singapore.
Find more BT podcasts at businesstimes.com.sg/podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. This podcast is meant to provide general information only. SPH Media accepts no liability for loss arising from any reliance on the podcast or use of third parties' products and services. Please consult professional advisors for independent advice.